Hi, welcome to episode 26 of The Corner of Knit and Tea. It is Sunday, February 8th, 2015. I'm Laura, also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Twitter and Instagram. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, and that's where this episode's show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop at the Stash Buckler, Adventures in Yarn, which is where I sell my handspun and handwoven scarves. And finally, we have a Ravelry group called The Corner of Knit and Tea. If you haven't joined us over there, please do. So hi, welcome back. If you're joining me for the first time, I hope you'll enjoy this episode. If you're returning, thank you for coming back and spending some time with me. I hope you all have had a good week. We've had a little bit of a crazy week here. The weather has been slightly crazy. Last weekend, as you remember when I podcast, it was super cold and a little bit snowy and icy. Tuesday, we hit 50 degrees and sunshine. Wednesday, we had, depending on where you were in the city, between 1 and 3 inches of snow and ice, and I actually left work early that day because the roads were terrible. And then yesterday we hit 70 degrees. So it has been kind of a strange winter here in Kansas, and not quite sure what to make of it. The other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is I went to a really great event yesterday. I realized that before I went yesterday, Kansas City has a World War I museum and a huge monument called the Liberty Memorial. And I knew that we had a really great World War I museum. Before yesterday, I did not realize that we have the National World War I Museum, and that it is the second oldest World War I museum anywhere in the world. The event I went to yesterday was called Mrs. Wilson's Knitting Circle, and it was in honor of Mrs. Woodrow Wilson. And it was really interesting. First of all, like I said, I knew we had the World War I Museum, and I had been to the Liberty Memorial, which is a huge monument on top of a hill across the way from Union Station downtown. And I had been around the outside, but I had not been in the inside of the museum. And so they invited area knitters to come for Mrs. Wilson's Knitting Circle. There was no cost, you just had to RSVP to attend. And we discussed knitting and World War I. They gave us a little background on the museum, which I thought was super interesting, which was at the conclusion of World War I, the World War at that point in time, Kansas Cityans wanted to do something to cherish the memories of those they had lost and to honor those who had fought in the war. And within 2 weeks, they raised $2.5 million. Now remember, this is 1918, 1919. $2.5 million to erect a monument and memorial. And the monument itself was dedicated in 1921. So that was super interesting, and we heard a lot about how it came to be in Kansas City and the expansion and the museum to house artifacts. And then we talked a little bit about the role of knitters in World War I. Now, I knew that America hadn't entered the war didn't enter in the beginning of the war. But what I didn't, and I knew that Americans had knit for soldiers in the war, but what I didn't realize was that the knitting started very early on, even before America was in the war, and that they gave us a little bit of history about how in the beginning it was very haphazard, and everybody knit things that they hoped the soldiers needed and sent them in, but that closer to when America got involved in the war, the American Red Cross published a booklet of patterns to try and standardize what they were receiving, hoping for mufflers, scarves, helmet liners like balaclavas, hats, sweaters, socks, and in sum total, between the years of 1914 and 1918 and World War I, Americans knit and sent over 22 million items to soldiers, both overseas and domestically. And that is just an amazing number and an amazing showing for knitters. So the idea behind Mrs. Wilson's Knitting Circle is that we get together, and yesterday they distributed a pattern from that original booklet. It was a men's muffler pattern, but they are going to be giving us other patterns as time goes on, and the hope is that we'll knit some of them together, and they are hoping to make it an ongoing event. I know that they've already scheduled one for next month. So it was just a really kind of exciting thing to do and thing to participate in, and it was kind of fun. So we went yesterday. I knew almost everyone there. It was very funny. I knew some of the members of the local knitting guild, and almost everyone in my knit group went. So it was just a super, super fun event, and actually it has inspired a knitting project, which I'll show you in a little bit. But that was what I did this week. So that's enough blather. I'm a few minutes in. I thought I would just share that experience, especially as it relates to knitting. So let's get into what I am sipping today. I am sipping a Downton Abbey tea called Bates Brambleberry Black Tea, and it came as a sample in the Republic of Tea catalog. If I know I've said this before, but if this is your first time tuning in, if you are interested in tea, you should sign up for the Republic of Tea mailing list. They will send you a number of catalogs each year, and there is always a free sample of something in the catalog. And so I have gotten to try a lot of their teas that way, and I really enjoy it. I believe this one is one that came in one of the fall-winter catalogs, and I thought it was perfect to drink it today because I am using another of my Downton Abbey mugs. The last few years on Thanksgiving, Black Friday, a Cost Plus World Market has done a series of Downton Abbey mugs as giveaways for the first few hundred shoppers through the door. And this one is a Violet quote that I love. "What is a weekend?" So I found mine. They're not for sale. They are only Black Friday specials, but I found mine through eBay, and I actually didn't even pay an arm and a leg for it, and I have a couple more that I will show. These were from this Thanksgiving 2014. So I am drinking my Bates Brambleberry Black Tea in my What is a Weekend mug. Ooh, and that is really nice. It is a black tea with a berry flavor, and it's just delicious. So we will move on to what I am wearing, which is actually one of my finished objects for this week. I finished the Quaker yarn stretcher shawl that I was knitting. The pattern is by Susan Ashcroft. It is written for, and it is available on Ravelry. It is a paid-for pattern. It is written for worsted weight. However, I chose to knit mine in fingering weight hand spun, and it's striped up absolutely beautifully. And you start at one end and knit till you run out of yarn, and it blocked out. It is enormous. It is more than my wingspan. So I will have to figure out exactly how I want to wear it. I had it draped in front of my front, and I have two really long ends, but I am really pleased with this. This was hand spun. It was a Southern Cross fiber and spunky eclectic combination spin that I did earlier this year, and it was about 600 yards of fingering weight yarn, so it is all in my scarf and here for me, and I love it. So that is what I'm wearing today, and also segues nicely into knitting. So I did finish my Quaker Ridge shawl. I finished that on Thursday. I bound off on that and had it set blocking on I usually just block on the floor in my knitting room, which we are in. And I needed another project to work on while I was at work, and also yesterday for Mrs. Wilson's Knitting Circle. So I pulled out a pattern I had been dying to cast on. It is called Juniper Flight, and it is a hat pattern by Amy King of Spunky Eclectic. And it calls for one skein of her yarn. I chose to use the Targhee Biggie, which is an Aran weight, and it's really affordable. It's 145 yards, and I want to say it was either $13 or $14, and she threw in the pattern for free when I bought the yarn. So we're talking maybe a $17 hat here. And it is a super cute It's got some gull lace and some cables, and I got it in the colorway Grape, so I have actually been calling mine Juniper Grape, and there was enough yarn to do a pom-pom, and I love this hat. It is super cute. It's a little slouchy. It is kind of a ski cap style, and I've got my pom-pom, and I think it's great. Now, of course, I haven't totally needed it this week, but we are supposed to get cooler weather again later on, so I will be using it later this week. But again, that is Juniper Flight by Amy King of Spunky Eclectic, and I can't say enough good things. It was a quick, easy knit. I did the ribbing for the brim on Friday, and then I knit the whole hat yesterday morning and afternoon. So that is an instant gratification knit, which is fabulous. I'm super happy with it. So that brings me to what else is on my needles. You all know what I'm going to talk about next, which is my Leftovers cowl by Wendy Johnson. It is a cowl of Fair Isle patterns designed to use all your leftovers of sock yarn. I am now halfway through my knitting. I completed chart 6, or section 6 this week. I actually used my own charts for this. As you will remember, last week I left off, I had just finished the flowers. I don't know whether they're tulips or roses, but I added some geometric patterns, the red with the navy, the green and yellow, which reminds me a little bit of Charlie Brown. I found sort of this interesting pattern. I don't even know what it was meant to signify, but I just kind of liked it. It's pink, and then I used kind of a burgundy on it. And then the top is diamonds in purple and orange. So that finishes, I actually knit this section last week, but this whole section is the 6th section. So I am now halfway through knitting my cowl, and it is getting huge. Remember, this will loop twice. It will be grafted at the ends. It is meant to be knit in a tube, and then at the end you will graft the ends together so that it can be worn like a cowl, and it is going to be huge and warm and squishy and obnoxiously colored, and I am loving it. So that is the work that I did on it this week, and now I will be going back and doing the charts again, so hopefully I will have more to show you next week. So finally, I thought I would show you a little bit of, it's going to be a little bit hard to see, but and a little bit fiddly. When we were at the World War I Museum yesterday, they have an amazing exhibit of poppies. Poppies being the emblem or symbol for Remembrance Day, which we celebrate here in the United States as Veterans Day in memory of everyone who fought in the wars. And poppies are really the, from the poem in Flanders Fields, are the symbol of remembrance, as particularly for World War I. And my friend Anna, who I have spoken about here before, she runs the Well Appointed Desk, which is an excellent office and desk supply blog if you are at all interested in all kinds of pens and notebooks and office supplies. She is a great person to follow. She is in my knitting group, and she had knit last year right around Remembrance Day, had knit a poppy, and she got lots of compliments on it yesterday, and I thought, I want to knit a poppy so that I can wear, it's just a little brooch that she knit. And I thought, I want to knit one so I can wear it to Mrs. Wilson's knitting circle next month. So I went ahead and came home and kind of perused patterns and started working on it last night using bits of leftovers of sock yarn and the like. Last night I knit, let me see if I can find it. I knit the center. I used a little bit of green and black. I don't know how well you can see this, but it's kind of the center of the flower, and the black are the baubles. And then it's really creatively constructed. She has you knit the flower in a couple different pieces, and it is a free pattern. It will be, I will link to it in the show notes. I think it's called Remembrance Poppy Flower. I can't remember. There are a number of them on Ravelry, and I will link to the one that I'm using. It's knit in a variety of pieces, and it kind of has a ruffled edge. So this is the center, and I just kind of joined that, and now I'm going to knit another ruffled edge, and then this piece will fit right in the middle here. So I will have a poppy. So I know that's a lot of ends. I will take some nice pictures this week, and I will also I will go ahead and show it next week when it's done. But this is kind of just, you can kind of tell that it will be a poppy, and I will put it on a pin just so I can wear it as a brooch. So I thought that was kind of fun, and that's just a little work in progress for this week. I suspect I will also try and knit a charity hat this week because I am out of small things that I can do at the office on my lunch hour, and when I'm out and about. So I expect that I will have a charity hat finished next week, and then I haven't really decided what's next. I have a cute scarf that I would really like to knit. It's kind of a little scarflet, and I think I'm going to do that in fingering weight held double. So I could do that one, or I have some sock yarn that I have been dying to cast on for a pair of socks, so that might be the next project. I haven't quite decided exactly what I'm going to do yet, so we'll just have to wait and see, and I will show you next week. So that concludes knitting, which moves us on to spinning. Last week I showed you a great braid from Fondant Fiber, who is Deb. It is Superwash Merino, and the colorway is Not Today, Satan. And I actually finished spinning that up this week. It was pinks and purples and oranges and reds, and it is a happy skein of yarn. It spun up probably about a sport weight. I haven't actually done my count yet, so I don't want to hazard exactly what yardage I got, but it came out beautifully, and it's squishy and soft and would make a wonderful pair of socks. And this will be up in the shop probably before this podcast hits, so it will be there this evening for any of you who are interested. It is a beautiful skein, and I'm almost a little sad to let it go. So it's lovely, which means it's time to figure out another spin. This week I picked some Hello yarn. I am kind of overrun in club skeins at this point. This was, I believe, either September or October club fiber. It is called Widdershins, and it is on Shetland, and it is, again, very autumn colors, kind of gold and cream and russet, and actually I think my favorite part are these pops of magenta in there. I hope that those will leave some really nice pops in the yarn itself. There are just a few spots that have that magenta, and that really is probably my favorite part of this braid. Shetland is not super soft. It would make a great pair of socks, so hopefully I will get good yardage on that, and that will be what I'm spinning up this week. So I guess that leaves me with a few things to talk about, just sort of general show comments and ongoing events. If you are a member of the Ravelry group, you know that we have the Selfish Craft Along going on, which is between January 1st and February 15th. Knit something for yourself and take a picture of it and post it in the finished objects thread. I think we have either 3 or 4 pages of finished objects now, which means we're getting towards 75 or 100, and I said I would show the prizes for that. We have a donation of $15 in patterns from a generous Raveler in the group. That is a prize for one lucky winner. That will be random number drawn from the pictures finished objects thread. We also had another donation of womes. This is the 100% Merino Superwash, which is the pure base in the colorway Rhubarber. And that is kind of a green and pink, and it is lovely. I actually knit a shawl in this colorway. It is in my projects. I think I knit an Ishbel. It's just kind of a limey acid green and a reddish pink. Very pretty. And that is one lucky prize winner. This was donated by a group member. And then I had picked out something from my stash. This is String Theory Colorworks Continuum, which is an 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon base. It is a stripy sock yarn in the colorway Cassiopeia. And the stripe pattern is 7 rows teal, 3 rows black, 7 rows pink, 3 rows black, 7 rows red, 3 rows black, 7 rows orange, 3 rows black. So that is, it was purchased from the Loopy U, and I hope it will go to a wonderful home, and one of y'all will be interested in knitting it up into socks. So those are the prizes. Like I said, the contest runs until February 15th, so that actually will be my next recording date, so I will not be announcing the prizes on the next recording. I think what I will do is I will just go ahead and draw for them in the Ravelry group on Monday the 16th, because I don't want to wait another full week. So look for the announcements in the Ravelry group for that one. And then I had talked a little bit about a 400 member giveaway on YouTube. I checked this morning and we are at 392 members, so we're not quite there yet, but I suspect that will be next week. So come back and join in next week so that I can show you what the giveaway will be, and you'll be able to leave a comment and enter to win. So I think that's it. I had anticipated this might be a longer episode this week, but actually it ended up not being. I suspect that's because I talk too fast, but I guess you'll have to let me know if that's the case. Thank you for joining me and spending some time with me this morning. I hope that you have had a wonderful weekend and look forward to a wonderful week. And I will say, as I always do, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy crafting, happy sipping, and I will see you next time. Bye.